Hey there, everyone. It's Kelly from Kelly's Astrology here. Welcome to this video that's going to give you a few bits of insight about the upcoming solar eclipse in Gemini. This eclipse is happening on Thursday, June 10th, around 19 degrees of Gemini. So that's your first piece of information about this very dramatic solar eclipse. It's happening at 19 degrees Gemini. So what you want to do is find where 19 degrees Gemini is in your birth chart. And that's going to represent the house and a particular set of topics in your personal birth chart that this eclipse is most likely to activate. But let's get into more about what this eclipse might mean in general and how you can use it to help understand what's going on in your chart and your life at the moment. Before we do, remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this type of astrological content or you just like my style. If you like videos like this, I do have a private members only subscription, which you can find out more details about on my website, kellysastrology.com. So, this eclipse is on the North Node and it's a new moon eclipse. And each of those technical pieces of data gives us some information that we can add meaning to what this eclipse might be about. It's a solar eclipse, which means it is a new moon eclipse. And that tells us that it's the light of the sun that is temporarily in the shadows or blocked. Now, when the solar light is blocked, we have to draw on the technically, when the solar light is blocked, we have no celestial light in the sky. So we have this idea of playing around with shadows, with light, with darkness. This is some of the pieces of info that I shared in the lunar eclipse video about how eclipses are about going within. They ask you to draw on the subtle senses, your ability to kind of viscerally sense or intuit what's going on. This isn't rational kind of, approach. It's using that kind of intuitive felt sense. That said, this eclipse is near the North Node, which in mythology represents the head of an entity. So there is a little bit of head energy coming in for this solar eclipse. And whenever we get the North Node activated, we get a few key words and concepts that you want to know about. The North Node represents an insatiable desire. And this North Node combined with a new moon, so a solar eclipse, they're the technical things we need for a solar eclipse, a new moon where the new moon is conjunct within 18 degrees, the North Node itself. So this insatiable quality of the North Node is directed towards newness and growth, with it being linked to the new moon. So this is the idea of I want more, I want something different, I want to refresh things, and I'm doing it in a way that might not have any limits. So there can be this unbridled, uncontained, or sometimes uncontrollable quality to a North Node factor or a North Node eclipse. This is also, the North Node can also represent like a hunger, something that you can't get enough of. The North Node being like a head, it's a bit of a disembodied head. It's a head without a body. And so we have this idea of all up here. And because this eclipse is in the sign of Gemini, an air sign, all about thinking and communication anyway, there's an excessive mental stimulation quality that goes with this solar eclipse in Gemini with the North Node. And that I think is really going to make our brains absolutely buzz. You're buzzing. You're likely to be thinking a lot, to be overthinking, maybe to be overstimulated. You might have too much exposure to technology or gadgets and devices. This eclipse being North Node, new moon, and in an air sign, it really is a disembodied type eclipse where we're not grounded. We're feeling fluttery and floaty and not anchored and not calm and not settled. So remembering that eclipses can be really tough on our physical body, we want to make sure we're getting enough rest, that we're eating regularly, that we're showering or bathing regularly. Not because I'm necessarily concerned about your personal hygiene, but because having the water on our skin is a way of grounding and calming. It actually helps bring our focus out of this overstimulated mental space and down into the belly or even into the feet. So, at a push, if you just get a warm bucket of water and stick your feet in it, that's going to help you calm down if you're feeling really overstimulated or ungrounded. through the eclipse. A salt bath is the best solution because the salt works with the water to kind of cleanse and ground. But just jumping in the shower, maybe doing a salt scrub is wonderful. And then thinking about using an oil moisturizer afterwards, something like sesame oil, coconut oil. These can have grounding, earthing properties. Almond oil, whatever you like. Sesame is considered the king of oils in the Ayurvedic tradition. So that'd be the one that I'd go for if I was really looking for that earthing, just to kind of counteract this excessive heady and overstimulating busy mind vibe of the Gemini solar eclipse. The one phrase that came to me when I was out walking earlier today for this eclipse is the idea of this eclipse representing topics or a particular situation in your life that is becoming all consuming, that you might feel like you're getting obsessed with, or you're spending every waking moment thinking about, or planning for, or trying to organize. Keeping in mind that at this eclipse, the eclipse ruler is Mercury, who is also in Gemini. And so this eclipse has some extra unique features, and I want to put the chart on the screen just to help me illustrate those for you. So let me bring that up now. So I'm using the eclipse chart for the location of Toronto, Canada. And this is, you can see it's about 6:53 in the morning on June 10th. So if you are on the west coast of the US and Canada, this eclipse is happening at 12:53 a.m. If you're in the central part of Europe, this eclipse is going to be happening right in the middle of the day. If you're in Australia, this eclipse is going to be happening towards the end of the day on Thursday the 10th. But for many of us in most major time zones, we're going to have the eclipse on Thursday, June 10th, just at different times of the day, depending on where we are. So at the start, I mentioned find 19 degrees Gemini in your chart, see what house it falls in. And that's a part of your life that you are already pretty full in, because even before this eclipse happens, Mercury is retrograde in Gemini and the sun has been in Gemini for a couple of weeks now. So we're already doing, and the North Node, of course, has been in Gemini for about 12 months at this point. So you're already super focused. It won't be a surprise, I don't think, the topic or the theme that is really made even more dramatic under the eclipse, because you've been working in the Gemini part of your chart. Your mind has been thinking about it. You've been focused on it. You've already been consumed a little bit with details about this part of your chart. Think of the eclipse as an exclamation point, or bringing to climax a dramatic decision, a revelation, or a really significant turning point in regards to the topics of your Gemini part of your house, your chart. So the Gemini house and its topics are where you have been focused for a while, but where you're doing even more under this eclipse. The moon is going to join the sun and Mercury there. This is the only time the moon will join the sun in Gemini on its journey through Gemini in 2021. Mercury's been there for a while. So that combination of the three planets, sun, Mercury, moon, plus the North Node, is what's adding to this really intense, extra busy, lots of multitasking, many things on the go at once vibe that is happening around the topics of your Gemini house. I'm going to tell you a very short story about how this is playing out for me. I think I've shared this on my website when I was writing about Mercury retrograde. So you can pop over to kellysastrology.com to check out that blog post. And I was talking about how Gemini is in the fourth house in my own personal chart. And some of the topics of the fourth house in astrology include our home and our living situation. And in that same post, I was talking about how we're getting ready to move countries. We're getting ready to move from Belgium back to Ontario, where we normally reside. And so right now, I'm in this place where I'm dealing with the duality, which is a very Gemini thing, of two homes or two houses, which is a very weird thing. The apartment that we rent in Belgium that we are trying to declutter and organize and get rid of stuff in so that we can pack up in a smooth, organized way. And I'm also thinking about our home in Canada that we'll be moving back into after 2 years of not living in. And I'm thinking, what do we need to buy for that house? Because when we left Canada to come to Belgium, we sold and gave away a lot of things, particularly technological electronic gadgets, especially anything that you plug in that you use in the kitchen, because the power source in North America and the power source in Europe is totally different. So I'm trying to rack my brain and think, what are the things we got rid of that we're going to now need to buy again? So there's this real sense of almost doubling up. I'm going to be selling a toaster here and I'm going to have to buy a new toaster in Canada, just to give you a simple example. Selling the kettle here, buying a kettle there. So it's that sense of duality and doubling up. On the one hand, we're decluttering. On the other hand, we're preparing for something new. And it's that straddling between right now, we're in a place that's not permanent. We know we're going to be leaving here in the next few weeks and we know where we're going, but we're not there yet. And some of this energy is very relevant for eclipse season, where you might feel like you're caught between two worlds, where you know something is winding down or wrapping up, but it's not done yet. And you've got to think about how to maintain where you are while at the same time you're trying to get started or get something going somewhere else. I've mentioned this word a few times and I just want to hone in on it a little bit more. And that's the word duality. Remember that Gemini is a mutable sign and all the mutable signs have a quality of duality in them, some a little bit more so than others. But Gemini, especially the sign of the twins, we're never just doing one thing in the sign of Gemini. We're always doing two or more things, at least two or multiplicity, if you like, because this sign is really about multitasking. So when you think about the topics of how Gemini might be affecting your birth chart right now, think about how you might have a lot on the boil or a lot on the go. For me, it's fourth house of home and family, and we're kind of juggling, house stuff. And when we're always juggling a little bit of family stuff because we have family in different countries around the world, but the very literal example of the home part of my birth chart being activated by this eclipse and starting to think about turning the internet off in one house and how do we plan to get the internet on in a timely fashion in another house, that type of thing. If Gemini is seventh house of relationships and business partnerships for you, you might be dealing with the transition out of one business relationship and the transition into a new business partnership. If Gemini is 10th house of career, it might be juggling multiple projects in your existing job. The timelines might overlap where a new project is starting, but the old one hasn't finished. Maybe you're looking to change from one job or work career path into something different. So let me know in the comments below after you've liked and subscribed to the channel. Let me know in the comments below how this Gemini eclipse is showing up in your chart. So duality, think about that as a doubling up. And just adding extra emphasis on the Gemini part of your chart, of course, is the fact that Mercury retrograde is there. Now, Mercury goes into a very special condition known as kazimi on the day of the eclipse. And that's very powerful for the eclipse ruler to be in this kazimi condition. I think it indicates there is going to be ideas, insight, inklings, or even the germination, the planting of a seed that will reveal itself in time. Because eclipses have this dark quality, and when a planet's kazimi, it's totally invisible, there is this idea of really being in that internal, liminal, intangible space where you're kind of gestating, but nothing is being shown or revealed yet. And in many ways, it's the weeks and months to come following this Gemini eclipse that are going to reveal some of these fresh starts and new beginnings that kind of are happening in the darkness, deep inside you, or in areas or conversations that you're just not privy to yet. So an extreme focus on the sign of Gemini happening with the very dramatic solar eclipse this week. Think about eclipses as bringing some drama. Think about them as representing a major breakthrough, development, or even culmination on a story that's been playing out for 12 months now since the North Node moved into Gemini. So some of what you're dealing with now is very relevant to current events, but some of it was previewed or initiated by events in May and June last year. For us personally, it was May and June of 2020, right around when the North Node moved into Gemini, that we first decided we were going to move back to Canada at the end of my husband's contract. So everything that we're doing now about the two houses thing and shutting one down and getting ready to open one up is all because of a choice we made last May and June. So I share a little bit about my own experience with this eclipse in the hopes of guiding you through how it might be influencing your chart and your life. Also, to hopefully show you that sometimes eclipses can bring drama, sometimes they'll bring surprises and the unexpected, and other times they just represent this very intense, overstimulated, extremely busy chapter in your life about something that isn't a total surprise and, in fact, might make complete sense given the larger narrative and timeline of your life. But it's a clue that that's where you need to focus right now. So I know for me, there's a bunch of stuff that I'm going to be organizing for our home back in Canada, and it's all going to happen in the next few days over this solar eclipse in Gemini. And then I can kind of let that rest and focus on what we need to do to wrap things up here. So, focusing on where you're going, because our home in Canada is where we're going, the new, if you like. There is a new moon as part of this solar eclipse. So it is thinking about, what am I doing to prepare for the future that I'm moving towards, the future that I'm trying to create, or the future that I envisage in my mind or in my deepest kind of inner self. Knowing that it's hyperstimulating, it's overstimulating, that you may need to care for your body, calm things down, be gentle with your physical self. That's going to be important to help you navigate the eclipse energy this week. So, hopefully, that gives you a few ideas about how to work with this solar eclipse, which is happening on Thursday, June 10th at 19 degrees Gemini. Let me know in the comments below how this is manifesting for you. If you like the video, pop a like, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel so you'll get notifications about new videos. And if you like this type of video themed, kind of short, sweet, and succinct astrological content, pop over to my website, kellysastrology.com, and sign up for my monthly astrology guide membership, where I send out videos every week touching on each aspect that's happening throughout the month. All right, team, have a wonderful eclipse. I'll talk to you soon.